tributes have been pouring in for David Bowie this morning. Born in South London in 1947, he died yesterday surrounded by his family at the age of 69 in New York. He died peacefully. He'd been battling cancer for 18 months. He was an icon, he was a legend, and he was a hero.
I can't quite believe it. Coming up, more reaction to the news that David Bowie has died.
It's a beautiful day.
Well, it's the news, sadly, that we're all waking up to this morning. David Bowie has died in New York after an 18-month battle with cancer. We'll have tributes and reaction throughout the programme. Also coming up...
Really, actually...
First, though, of course, we're starting with this morning's breaking news. David Bowie has died in New York. Ross King is in Los Angeles for us. Ross, I know that it's the end of the Golden Globes and everybody would probably be in the party mood, but I imagine that's gone incredibly flat now.
Incredibly so, Lorraine. How many times have you and I talked on the phone about our love for David Bowie? The first single that I ever bought, the Jean Genie, the concerts in Glasgow and in Edinburgh, just meeting him briefly just once, but what a time that was. And here we were tonight, and the news is still sinking in here. Everyone absolutely stunned. We had TV crews, we had people meant to be partying after the Golden Globes, and that just immediately fell flat, even though the DJ was playing David Bowie records back to back. And just a reminder of the great songs. Such a sadness over the Beverly Hilton here. We're on the rooftop at the moment. There had been rumours for quite some time. We'd heard for a while that things were not well, but we saw him out and about just towards the end of last year, the new musical on Broadway, Lazarus, and he was out and about at that. And actually, we all hoped that maybe the rumours we were hearing were not true, but sadly they were.
I think he influenced every single musician on the planet that is alive now, and and he broke boundaries all the time. The cross-dressing and the kind of bisexuality and all that kind of stuff. But he was way, way, way ahead of his time, and his music was just it feels as fresh if you listen to it today as it did in the 70s.
And I think we all will be. I mean, I was listening over the weekend because I've always listened to music when I'm walking or whatever, and I think we'll all be sort of listening to the music of his that we love, the era that we love. There's
just an innovator. Every single album, every look. I mean, it's the way it was the whole package. It was the music, the look. He was a wonderful actor as well.
Of course.
It's just...
it's just really sad. I can't believe it either.
I think because you think people like that are going to live forever.
You do, and they should.
He will.
They should.
Of his music,
well, the music will for sure, Julie. I mean, we're talking about Benidorm, and you must have had such a laugh doing that. It does look... Welcome back. It's just sinking in, really, isn't it, this morning? Very sad news that David Bowie has died in New York. As we now know, he'd been battling cancer for 18 months. Loads of tributes, as you would imagine, coming in from the world of entertainment. John Bishop said, very sad news about Bowie. Few people leave the world a better place and inspire so many people in so many ways. And Stephen Merchant, who of course worked alongside David on the sitcom Extras, that was so funny. He said, honoured to have known him, if only for an afternoon. R.I.P. Mr. Bowie. Well, with me now is David Bowie's biographer, Wendy Lee. And Wendy, thank you for coming in. You must be as shocked as all of us, I guess.
Well, I am and I'm not. I did know about the cancer. I also knew that David had 6 heart attacks. And so, in a way, I don't want to talk cliches because the thing that David Bowie was not was a cliche.
That's very true.
I don't want to say at last his suffering's over because actually we don't know about the suffering. What I do know, though, what we all know today, is that David Bowie was a showman to the end. He picked his time to go, perfectly. It was not on a Sunday when it might have not had such big exposure. It was on a Monday morning when he could hit all the UK papers, the UK TV, then America. David was a showman to the end. His legacy will go on and on. He has a family. He has a wonderful wife, Iman, and my heart goes out to Iman today.
Yeah.
And David picked his moment. I really think so. David was supernatural.
Do you think
yeah, he was
so?
supernatural. I talked to people. David was psychic. David did magic. David picked his moment to die. I really believe it because David's legacy, of course, will live on, but because of the timing.
Do you think so?
I believe
Seriously?
so. I could tell you so much about David, David's psychic abilities, David's magic, David's mind-reading abilities. I mean, I talk to a lot of people. I'm not here to plug my books. I don't want to keep him mentioning the fact of it. But basically, David really was uncanny. Look at those eyes, those mismatched eyes. OK, it was an accident. A friend, you know, it was a ring. A friend had an argument with a friend over a girl. David liked girls a lot, but he, you know, whatever. But the point is that David had an otherworldly air to him. He really did. And
He was utterly charismatic.
Beyond.
And so talented. But what was he like as a person? As a, you know, when he wasn't creating, he was just hanging out with his family. I mean, we know his son, who has tweeted this morning and just said how sad it was. He was confirming the news. And obviously he's got a little girl who's 15 now, I believe.
Yes,
so,
I think so.
They're the ones that your heart goes out to,
Oh,
really.
definitely, of course. I mean, absolutely. And Duncan had a very difficult life. I mean, David was a wonderful father in recent years, and quite many years. But of course, at the beginning, when David was making it to the top, Duncan perhaps did not have the most conventional of fathers, but thank God for Duncan and thank God for David. At a certain point, David pulled himself together and he became the best father in the world to Duncan. And really, Duncan is a credit to David Bowie, and I think always will be, and so will a little girl. Zahara, I'm not quite sure, I don't want to say the name wrong, that wouldn't be right, but the daughter. And of course, Iman is a goddess, and always will be. And I'm sure that David, being David, will have prepared her for this moment in every which way. I'm sure that he went gentle into the good night. I certainly hope so.
So do I, so do I. A remarkable man. How do you think that people will remember him then? Obviously they'll remember him for the music.
I think what we're talking, I think, is, in terms of the death of David Bowie, we're talking JFK, that moment that we all know where we were. We are talking Elvis, we all know where we were, we all know who we felt, whether we like the music or not, and David Bowie. Those three names, enshrined forever. That moment when we all heard that news this morning at 7 o'clock, I think will be part of our life story, as David was. David's music was a soundtrack to our lives.
Definitely.
And always will be.
No, it absolutely was. And so, as you say, I mean, I'm still sort of trying to get my head around this, to be honest with you. It still doesn't feel quite real.
Well, Lorraine, can I tell you something? Basically, of course I knew for a very long time, and I wasn't about to do anything about it. I don't believe in breaking that privacy. No matter what people think of writers and journalists, there are ethics. We don't all think it's a county in England. We know that there are things you don't do. But basically, it's a statistical fact that people tend to die within 3 weeks of their birthday either ways. And it is absolutely statistical. If you think of people in your life who've died, it's 3 weeks either ways. There's a reason for it. I won't bore anybody talking about that. But basically, it was his birthday on January the 8th. And what are we today? When did he die? He died January the 10th.
It's just so sad. Thank you for coming in and sharing your memories of him. It's good to talk to you, and we should celebrate him.
Oh,
That's
very
what we should
much
do.
so,
We should
absolutely
celebrate him. Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Lorraine.
much indeed.
Thank you.
Right, it's coming up to a couple of minutes past 9. Now, thousands of you, I'm glad to say, have already signed up to our healthy eating and
Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes.
Honestly can't believe I'm saying this. Welcome back. Lots of reactions still coming in to the news that David Bowie died from cancer at the age of 69. One Direction's Louis Tomlinson has tweeted, "R.I.P. David Bowie, a music legend." Stephen Fry sums up how many are feeling this morning by saying what terribly sad news to wake up to one of the immortals, and he's put #ashes to ashes. We're going to have more from Ross at the Golden Globes in just a moment, and of course reaction to the death of David Bowie. Before that, Andy Peters has the competition.
Morning. Now, if you're dreading